Hey, so I just want to thank you guys for watching this. I know it's been a while. I've been wanting to do a video like this for a while, and this is not all of the amps I have. I do have some more other amps that are at the house. A smaller combo, a 10-inch combo made by Ampeg. I think it's called a Rocket. And then I also have a Boss bass. It's a small little two 5-inch speakers. The reason I have that one is because it has a looper. It has a drum machine in it, and so it really allows me to practice playing on time and things like that. So besides that, that's kind of what I have on the amp side. Today we're going to look at some amplifiers from a newbie perspective. I believe these 4 amps right here kind of hit all the different areas that a newbie might want to have, minus like a small room practice amp, which I do have, but it's back at the house. So let's go through these really quick, and let's tap some strings and do some things. Okay, in no particular order, this is a micro stack. These amps come in all different brands, shapes, and sizes, but they're micro because they are small, as you could see. And this is a micro stack made by Ampeg, the Micro CL. And I bought this secondhand off of somebody. It had very light usage. It wasn't gigged at all, so I believe I ended up paying like $150 for it. I did have to travel a little bit of ways to get it, but overall it's worth it. This would be what I would call, it was like my true first amp. I know that might sound silly to some people, but we're going to go over some features here. First, we're going to look at the front. Well, let me preface this by saying when they say stack, they mean that there's a head with an amp, an EQ, sometimes just an amp, sometimes they have an EQ and the amp, and then that head plugs into a cabinet, a speaker cabinet. Okay, there we go. And we're going to turn it around first. So basically you have what you would call the power plug, the speaker plug, and this will tell you specifics. So this is 8 ohms output power, 100 watts at 8 ohms. Okay, so you're going to want to make sure the cabinet you have lines up with that. Also on this one you have a effects loop, so return, ascend, and then a line out. Okay, so if you had other pedals you wanted to plug in here, you would send this signal to your other pedal. Let's say it's a chorus pedal. You send this signal to the chorus pedal, and then out on the chorus pedal it would come back in here to get the sound you want to come out of the amp. Okay, and then this is just another line out. Okay, you could send this to front of house, you could send it to a different amplifier, as I've done in the past. You could do things like that. And what it does is it says the signal. So sometimes this will be called a through, meaning the signal goes through there, out there into another amp or something like that. And then, you know, this will come in many different forms and fashions. This one's 1/4 inch. Sometimes they're speak on. I've seen them XLR, but the standard pretty much is 1/4 inch and speak on. In the back of the cabinet, this one's really simple. I'm not sure if you can see. Yeah, you could kind of see that. Let me kind of zoom in there some. So this is kind of simple. It's just 1/4 inch plug. It says on it 8 ohms. It has the make and a model and all that. This is a 210 cabinet, okay? Micro. So what they tried to do here, Ampeg is really known for their amps, especially their big boys, and so they try to make a mini version. Some people will say, yeah, they did a good job. Some people will say they need to try again. I'm not either. I don't know enough to make that judgment. So we're going to look at the front now. So the front will have an input and then a 15 dB. So I believe that's if your signal's really hot, you plug it in there and that'll kind of reduce it, or vice versa. I'm not sure how it works on this one. Sometimes they'll say plus 15, sometimes they'll say negative. I believe this one is if it's a hot signal, you plug it in there, kind of brings it down to a regular level. And then you have what they call a preamp on here. So it is basically a master volume, a treble, a mid, and a bass, okay? And it's been a while since I used this one. So very simple, master, treb, mid, bass. Very simple, straightforward. And then auxiliary level. So that auxiliary level will work with an auxiliary input right here. So if you have, everybody says MP3 player, but I don't know anybody that uses one of those anymore. So if you have some kind of mini jack input that you want to run some music through this, you could do that, and then you could jam with the music. And then it's got headphones. So the really cool thing about this is if you're in a tight environment, noise is an issue, you could plug in a good set of headphones right here and use this as a headphone amplifier and just jam on your headphones, and you don't even need to use the cabinet. So that's kind of cool. If you were going out to a gig and they said, hey, stage is really tight, we just need you to plug straight into our house, technically you could just bring this head unit if you use this for an EQ, and you can just take this unit here and send them that feed to their house. So really cool, straightforward. Mini stack is what that is. And again, these are in no specific order. This guy here, so second up here is what we have is a combo amp. So combo amp, when you're out there looking for amps, they're going to be sectioned off in combo, heads, and cabinets, okay? And a head and a cabinet work together as a stack, and then a combo has the speaker and the EQ amplifier all rolled into one system. And these are made to be pretty light. They're not the best speakers or electronics and things like that, but they're really decent, especially nowadays. Back in the day, I think they were a lot worse. But now, you know, with technology, they really make some good stuff. So this is a acoustic B100C. And basically we'll go over, this has a pretty extensive preamp here. So we'll go over all this stuff here. These range from anywhere from like $150 to, and this is new prices, to, you know, about $500, $600, $1,000, depending on the quality of the ones you get. When I bought this one, this is one of my first amps that I bought. And I bought this specific one to bring to the church because it has a 12-inch speaker in it, which at that time I thought, you know, that's what I want. That's the big one, you know. Um, didn't know much at the time, but this is a pretty decent little combo. So again, we have our input here, and like the other one where we had the 15 dB, this has a pad, okay? And I'm sure the PAD stands for something technical, but I'll just tell you what it does. So if you apply that, it removes 10 dB off of the signal to start with. So again, if you have an active bass and it comes in really hot, or if you have a passive bass and it sends a really hot signal, you could reduce it just by pushing that, and that'll help you start with a good gain. So our first little knob here is the gain, what they call the gain. And this specifically works with the overall volume and with the overdrive stuff here, okay? And I quite don't understand it fully, but I just know this does need to be up some in order to get some overall volume through the amp. But I also know as you turn it up more, you will get more of a distortion sound coming out of the effects here on this specific amp. So this specific amp, and a lot of them this size have this, they have an overdrive level, and then you could put that off and on right here with the button, okay? So that's really cool. You know, if you like rock music and you like a little grit, that'll get you that sound. Next, you have a volume, overall volume. You have a frequency notch right here, which will help you shape your EQ. So you have a frequency notch, and you have a button for that also. Okay, then here you have your parametric EQ, I believe they call it. You have a low mid, a high mid, and a high, okay? And so what's really cool about this is you actually have a low mid and a high mid. And that'll definitely help some bass players out there that need help getting cut through the mix in a band setting. This low mid right here is going to be your friend, as I've learned recently. And then here we have an auxiliary in. Again, self-explanatory. A headphone. We went over that like in the other one. And then an on and off button. We're going to turn around the back because this does have something else that the other one doesn't have. So in the back here, you have also a DI output. That's great. That's great for going to places that just want you to send them a signal through XLR. Boom, right there. It's got ground lift. So if you're noticing some humming going on, you apply this. That should help take away the hum. Here you have direct output level. Okay, so you could control the direct output level right here. Okay, so that's super helpful. So when you're sending your signal to the house, the front of house, the sound man, and he says, oh, that's really weak, you could say, okay, you know, you turn it up, and he'll say, okay, now it sounds good. Easy, okay? This also really cool is you have a post and a pre-EQ switch, okay? So if you just want to send him a clean signal of your bass and you don't want none of the EQing that happens up front to go through it, you send him the pre, okay? Meaning the signal coming out of here is before your EQ setup in the front, okay? How that helps is if you're running other pedals and you don't really want the front of this EQ to matter, but you want your pedals to matter, you run a pre and you put your pedals in here with these other 1/4 inch cables and you're good to go. But if you really like the sound coming out of there, and that's the sound you want to send to the front of house, you hit post, and now the front of house will get the EQing that you're doing on the front of this sent to them. Here we have a foot switch, OD on and off, okay? Overdrive on and off, okay? So this is really cool, is if you have a pedal, like a foot switch pedal, like I have one over here that a good friend of mine gave me. So if you plug in this pedal, okay, you got tuner and you got out and you got in. So if you come out of here into the pedal, okay, or actually if you come out of the pedal into here, you'll be able to control the sound, bring the overdrive back and forth with the pedal. So that's pretty cool, pretty helpful. Not all combos have something like that. You have a send, like we talked about before. Send that signal into another pedal, a distortion, a chorus, a reverb. And then you want to send that back into the system for it could be heard through the amp, through the return. So those are really cool. Combos, you know, most likely when you first start off, the combo is what you're going to go to. That's price-wise, they're the best bang for your buck. Unless you find something really, you know, good deal on Craigslist or OfferUp. So combos are really nice. I have seen 15-inch combos. I've seen 410 combos. Combos come in every shape and size and every quality that you could think of. The next one, this guy could get really complicated. The Positive Grid. This is set up like a stack right now. The top part here is the Spark 40, okay? And it is a unit all by itself. It's got a little speaker. Plug it in, power it, run your application. I did do a video on the Spark application not too long ago. And basically you could get a ton of sound out of it. But if you didn't want to do all that and you wanted to keep it really simple, you could use this really simply, as it has a pretty extensive preamp on here with some delay, reverb. So here your first is your power switch, and then next is kind of whatever you're playing, it has a selector. So it's going to kind of model metal music, high gain, crunch, glassy, clean, bass, and acoustic. Okay, and then next is your gain, bass, mid, treble, and master. And then your MOD, delay, reverb, and output. It could be really complicated using something like this. So if you're interested in something like this, you could go back and watch the video, the very bad video I did on the app. I think I got the point across, but it was not the best. On the back of this guy, what you have here is you have an auxiliary, you have a plug for your computer, and then a power. Okay, and so what this basically allows you to do is, within the settings of the app, it allows you to model all kinds of different effects, EQs, noise reducers, reverbs, all kinds of stuff. And as you build that station, it eliminates that through the speakers. Now, again, some people would say it does a great job. Some people would say, well, it doesn't really do a good job. I'm going to give you a newbie's perspective on it. It does a decent job. If you were just using this at your house as a little practice amp, it's fine. You know, you're not really looking for crazy depth. You're not really looking for, you know, your tones to be right on. You know, you're just practicing. You could get away with something like this as a bass player. But what I noticed is when I bought the cab for it, this cab underneath here is more than just a cab. This thing is full featured. It is, oh, let me see. Let me get you in there. So this thing is just, it's more than a cabinet. It kind of reminds me of one of those powered speakers that has two input levels, two inputs, TRS inputs. So that's XLR or 1/4 inch. It has an output, so a direct box, and then it has a volume for that specifically. It has a contour, so if you just want to do a simple scoop, you could hit that. It'll scoop the EQ. Overall speaker volume. And then it has a tons of ways you could plug into this. Using the Spark 40 is really cool because it's all made to work with each other because it's the same company. So what's really cool about this is I plug this guy here from the DC out. So this is the power. It'll share power with my Spark 40, so I don't need a separate plug. And then this other cable here, which is just a mini, and all this stuff comes with the unit, so it's very cool. This just goes into the headphone jack on the 40. And so now it bypasses the speaker in the 40, and you're using this speaker here on the Positive Grid cab. So it's really cool. Tons of features. You could get so lost in all the different features on this. It does have a USB charging on it. Really cool. These are very useful. So if you were going to a little cafe and you wanted to put your mic in here and run your bass through it also, or your guitar, you could do that with all this one unit. So these are pretty extensive. They're very cool. Are they the best? No, they're not the best. You don't get the best tone out of it. I mainly use this in a small worship group, men's group I'm in. And so it's a smaller room. It does fine in that smaller room. And I've been slowly working on the sound and tweaking the sound in the app to where I'm getting to where I like it. And that's what's really cool, because once you find something you like, you save it in the app, and now you have that at your fingertip. And the 40 actually saves it to a preset on the actual amp. So you will have that available. So that's really, really nice. So the Spark 40 with the cab, very cool unit. Different but cool. Now this is my baby right here. This was the turnaround for me. I'll say it. I'll say it loud. After I bought the Rickenbacker and just noticed a different quality of tone coming out of the Rick, Then I was like, man, I really need to buy me an amp and a stack that is worthy of the Rick. So this is an Ampeg. It's called a Portaflex. And this is my go-to here at the church, on the stage. When I'm playing in the big band, I love this thing. This is a single 15, okay? So single 15, they do make this with, it's either 2 12s or 4 10s. I think it's a 410. Might be a 212. They make 2 of these style cabinets. And I went with the 15. I wanted the big, deep bass, okay? So we're going to go over the front of this really quick. Again, Ampeg's not for everybody, but I've really enjoyed it and really liked it. I'm going to try to get as close as possible on this. That light's killing me, huh? Okay. Okay, so first of all, we're going to go over, I know the light's bad. So we've got the input right here. Easy input. Boop. Right here we have a mute. Love it. Anytime I just want to mute it, hit that button, she's quiet. From there we have a minus 15 dB. There it is again, okay? Too hot of a signal, bingo. What's cool about this is the first time we've seen this out of all these amps, this has a compression on it, okay? So what the compression does is it helps squash the sound a little bit to keep a more even tone coming through, is my understanding. I could be wrong. Underneath here we have the gain, okay? Then this is cool. We have an ultra high and an ultra low button, okay? So what those do is they'll bring your highs higher and your lows lower. A lot of people will use the highs part, like if they have a solo or they really having trouble cutting through a mix, they'll apply the highs, and that'll really get them heard through a mix. I love having the ultra low on all the time. And then we have a bass. We have a mid-range, okay? What they call mid-range. Then we have a frequency, treble, FX mix, volume. Then over here we have audio in and a headphone, okay? So my understanding is the frequency part basically will allow you to pick a frequency to bring up or down in the mix, in that pre-EQ right here, okay? So what a lot of bass players do is on stage they might sound fine, but when it comes to doing a mix and maybe it's a streamed mix or something like that, they may find it helpful to boost or take out another frequency to be heard better in those scenarios. So that's kind of what this is for. And there's 1 through 5, and I'm sure the manual describes where each of those are at. What's really cool, let me show you what's really cool. So another feature of this bass that I like, this bass amp, okay, is when you want to go somewhere, when you want to take it on the road, you just take this off. It's it's attached, okay? On the inside, you put all your cabling, your power cable, your 1/4 inch. Put this on top. So now you're ready to put it in your vehicle and take your show on the road. Weight-wise, it's not that heavy. It's maybe 50 pounds. Maybe 60 at the most. It's not that bad. And I have issues because I had a hernia, so I would lift it on my own, but I would be careful doing it. On the back, you have the plug-in, okay, full range inputs for the speakers. And it actually has 2 plugs there. And then it says here, it says high frequency off, negative, and then 0. So I'm sure there's something to do there. A newbie like me does not know what. So anyways, this is my baby, like I said. When it comes time to get going on it, just pop it open, flip it. Now you're ready to go. Again, I love this amp. I adore it. It is a little loud. I have heard people kind of complain about how loud these are. Again, the power is just a regular plug. The back of the amp, that's what I should show you, the back of the amp. Sorry about that. Let's turn it around. Let's see. Okay, so the back of the amp, it does have a circuit breaker. Really nice. Power surge, pop it. It's protected. You have the 1/4 inch out where your cable would go to. Or you have a speak on out. Okay, if you have a speak on. You have the DI, the direct out. And on the DI you have post or pre. We talked about that. Okay. It has a 0 dB or a -10 dB and a ground lift. Okay. So if it's coming in hot, going out hot, you got something to work with. You got a foot switch. We talked about that. Power amp in. Preamp out. Okay. So that's interesting. I'm thinking you could run some kind of combo amp with this one. Tuner out, FX loop, and return. Okay, those are all things we've talked about before except for that power amp in. Okay, so again, little different, but this is a workhorse. This is something like if you're serious about serving as a bass player somewhere, and you want to have something that could probably handle everything, and you want to also have something where you could send a good DI out, this is it. The Portaflex, the PF500, so that's the 500 amp. I believe they come a 300, a 500, and a 700 on the amp. Very cool. I love it. Like I said, it's kind of my pride and joy. So let's take a step back and kind of go over a quick review of this. Price point wise, if you're in a budget, you're in a crunch, you're starting this new hobby, you're probably going to want to get a combo amp or something on the secondary market like the mini stack that isn't going to cost you a bunch of money, but is going to do great for your little in-home practices, and also you know, any kind of Oh, I'm forgetting the name. Cut. So your at-home practices or any kind of jamming you might do with other people, your first two to the left here, the Ampeg or the acoustic, something like that is going to be great. If you like a little more tech and you like to play with things, something like the Positive Grid is going to be cool for you. Boss makes a few with that same kind of mentality in mind. I believe Roland does also. I'm sure there's other ones out there that are kind of the same way. Price point on that, something like that though, I believe this combo, and again, it's way more than just an amp. I believe it cost me about 600, a little under 600 bucks. You're getting much more than an amp, but you're also not getting a full bass amp quality either. So I just want to put that in there. And then if you just want to buy something that's gonna carry you for a long time, and you're not really like, you're not scraping for money, although I have seen these units for sale outside of Sweetwater where I bought this one, and they were pretty reasonably priced, about that $500, $600 range for both the head and the speaker setup. So the Ampeg, and again, everybody makes them this style, so it just kind of depends on what kind of sound you like. Some people they like the sound of the Mark bass amps. Some people like the sound of Aguilar, I believe they call it. Aguilar, the Tone Hammer, that type of stuff. So it really just kind of depends on what you like, and this I'm good with. It's very cool with me. I'll probably buy the 212 cabinet, I think it is. Just the cabinet part, I'll probably buy that also. So then I'll have a variety of, two different sounds, something really deep and then something with a little more highs, but not something I need. Hey, I just want to thank you guys for watching. I know it's been a while, but hopefully I can get a little bit more consistent with this. Go ahead and like and subscribe. Hey, let's do this thing again. Let's tap some strings and do some things. Peace.